Hey class, and welcome to lesson 6.9, Problem Solving, Practice, Addition, and Subtraction. Let's begin by taking a look at our essential question. How can the strategy work backward help you solve a problem with fractions that involves addition and subtraction? Well, let's begin by taking a look at our word problem. The Diaz family is cross-country skiing the Big Tree Trails, which have a total length of 4 miles. Yesterday, they skied the 7/10 mile Oak Trail. Today, they skied the 3/5 mile Pine Trail. If they plan to ski all of the Big Tree Trails, how many more miles do they have left to ski? Well, let's use the graphic organizer to help us solve the problem. So, we begin with, what do I need to find? I need to find the distance they have left to ski. So, what information do I need to use? I need to use the distance they have already skied and the total distance they plan to ski. Now we have to ask ourselves, how will I use the information? I can work backward by starting with the total distance and subtract each distance they have already skied to find amount they have left. Now, to solve the problem, addition and subtraction are inverse operations. By working backward and using the same numbers, one operation undoes the other. So write an equation. We start with the miles skied yesterday, and that was 7/10. And we're going to add the miles skied today, which was 3/5, plus our unknown variable or term equals 4. So then work backwards to find m. So that we know we're going to add, so the opposite of that, the inverse is subtraction. So let's begin by taking our 4 minus the amount that they skied of 7/10, the amount that they skied of 3/5 for today, equals our m. So in order to solve this, we know that we have to find equivalent fractions and a common denominator. So we have 4 minus 7/10 minus, and we need a common denominator of 10. 5 times 2 equals 10. And what we do to the numerator or denominator, we do to the numerator. 3 times 2 equals 6. We need to change our 4 into borrow 3 and then 10/10. So we've got 3 and 10/10 minus 7/10 is going, 10 minus 7 is 3/10. So 3 and 3/10 minus 6/10. And in order to do that, we have to borrow again 2 and add our 10/10 to 3/10 to give us 13/10. 13 is, it's going to leave us with 2 and 7/10. So the family has 2 and 7/10 miles left to ski. So it asks at the bottom, explain how you know your answer is reasonable. Well, I know my answer is reasonable because the unknown distance, 2 and 7/10, is less than the total distance. Now let's take a look at another problem. As part of their study of Native American basket weaving, Leah's class is making wicker baskets. Leah starts with a strip of wicker 36 inches long. From the strip, she first cuts one piece but does not know its length, and then cuts a piece that is 6 1/2 inches long. The piece left is 7 3/4 inches long. What is the length of the first piece she cut from the strip? So it starts with, What do I need to find? Well, we need to find the length of the first piece cut from the strip. Now, what information do I need to use? Well, we need to use the length of the original strip, which was 36 inches long, and the two lengths given from the original strip, which was 6 1/2 inches and 7 3/4 inches. So next we look at how will I use the information? Well, I can work backward by starting with the total length, which was 36 inches, and subtracting the lengths given to find the length of the first piece. So, in order to solve the problem, we have to start by writing an equation. So, if we use addition, our equation would look something like our unknown variable of the first piece plus our 6 1/2 piece plus our 7 3/4 piece equals the total length of 36 inches. Now, in order to work backwards to solve for our unknown variable or term, we would take our 36 inches minus 7 3/4 and minus the 6 1/2 equals our x. So to get started, we need to find our common denominator for our two fractions. So that would be 7, and our common denominator would be 4. And 2 times 2 is 4. What we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator. So 1 times 2 is 2. And that one stays the same. And we're going to have to borrow in order to make a fraction for this. So it would be 35 4/4, because we took 1 whole from 36. So we know that 35 4/4 minus 7 3/4. Well, 4 minus 3 is 1. Our denominator does not change. And 35 minus 7 is 28. So 28 1/4 minus 6 2/4. Well, we see that our 1/4 is smaller than our 2/4, so we're going to have to borrow, make that 27. And we'll add our 4/4 to our 1 to make it 5/4. So 27 5/4 minus 6 2/4 equals 5 minus 2 is 3/4. 27 minus 6 is 21. So our original, the first piece was 21 3/4 inches. So now, take a look at our password for tonight's lesson. Mrs. Chung uses 1/4 cup of sugar to make 1 batch of scones, 1/2 cup of sugar to make 2 batches, and 3/4 cup of sugar to make 3 batches. How many cups of sugar does she need to make 6 batches of scones? 1 cup, 1 1/4 cups, 1 1/2 cups, or 1 3/4 cups? So be sure to work this out in your journal, record your answer, and bring it with you to class tomorrow. We'll see you then.